Burnley are a team who have only tasted a handful of major trophies in their history. But at the turn of the 60s, under the management of Harry Potts, they experienced a brief golden age that took them to the top of English football, and even on an impressive European run too. This is a story of Burnley's golden years. Burnley won their first major trophy in 1914, winning the FA Cup, before winning the First Division in 1921. They spent many years afterwards languishing in the Second Division, before improving after the Second World War and finding their way back to the First Division under the management of Alan Brown. Brown had turned the club's fortunes around, building a strong team based around the club's academy. Another key part of the upturn in their fortunes was chairman Bob Lord. A lifelong Burnley fan, he became chairman in 1955 and said that he wanted Burnley to be the best, not second best. Lord and Brown were involved in setting up a training complex for the club in 1955. Brown saw the club to a number of top half finishes, but would leave after he was offered the chance to manage hometown club Sunderland. His replacement was Harry Potts, who had previously spent 4 years at Turf Moor as a player. Potts took the baton from Brown and built his squad around captain Jimmy Adamson and playmaker Jimmy McElroy. Potts deployed a 4-4-2 formation and a total football brand, which drew plaudits from the likes of Billy Wright and Jimmy Greaves. Burnley finished 6th in the 57-58 campaign, and in Potts' first full season in charge, they would finish 7th. The next campaign started with a 3-2 win over Leeds, but inconsistent form would follow. They climbed up the table, however, with consecutive 3-1 wins, and found themselves only a point behind league leaders Tottenham. Burnley then made some serious statements of intent. They defeated Wolves, the winners of the past 2 First Division titles, by 4-1, and would later defeat FA Cup holders Nottingham Forest by 8-0. Wins over Bolton, Arsenal and Manchester United saw Burnley go into the new year with high hopes. A 5-2 win over title contenders West Ham saw people wonder if Burnley were now serious challengers for the title, and a draw with West Brom saw them finish January in 2nd place. Their form continued, but they were brought back down to earth at the end of March when Wolves defeated them 6-1. Their next game against Sheffield Wednesday nearly ended in defeat too, but for a late equaliser from Brian Miller to make the game 3-3. But their fortunes would come back, with wins over Leicester, Nottingham Forest and Luton, thanks in large part to the defensive partnership of Jimmy Adamson and Tony Cummins. The title race was going right to the wire, with Burnley battling Tottenham and Wolves for top spot. A 1-0 win over Birmingham sent Burnley 1 point ahead of Tottenham into 2nd, and they were only behind Wolves on goal average. Burnley's penultimate game was at home to Fulham, and it finished in a 0-0 draw. Both Wolves and Tottenham won their final games, and so Burnley had to win their final fixture if they were to lift the title. They would make the short journey to Manchester to face Man City at Main Road. Only 4 minutes into the game, Brian Pilkington scored to give Burnley the lead. The hosts would equalise, but on the half-hour mark, a volley from Trevor Meredith put the Clarets back in front. A series of saves from goalkeeper Adam Blacklaw preserved Burnley's advantage. Burnley held on, and they were champions of the First Division. It was the first time they had topped the table all season, and all the odds had been stacked against the club. Their entire squad cost less than £15,000, and their average attendance was around 26,000, which equates to approximately 33% of the population of Burnley at the time. Bob Lord would crack open the champagne in the dressing room, delighted at seeing his dream finally realised. The next season, Burnley would be the English representative in the European Cup. They faced Stade Reims in the first round, who had previously finished as runners-up in the competition. Goals from James McElroy and James Robson saw Burnley win the home leg 2-0, and although Reims won the second leg 3-2, Burnley would advance on aggregate. They would face Hamburg in the quarter-finals. Burnley looked as though they were on their way to the semi-finals when 2 goals from Brian Pilkington gave Burnley a 2-0 advantage. James Robson added a third, and although Hamburg got one back, Burnley seemed to be in pole position. But in the return leg, things did not go to plan. Hamburg netted early on and got a second shortly before half-time. Gordon Harris got one back for Burnley, but Hamburg almost instantly responded with a third, and then a fourth from Hamburg proved to be the decisive goal. Hamburg advanced 5-4 on aggregate, and Burnley were out. It was disappointing for the Clarets, but they could still hold their heads up high, having also finished 4th in the league. The following season was one of near misses. Burnley finished 2nd in the league and would also reach the FA Cup final, where they faced Tottenham Hotspur. Tottenham would run out as 3-1 winners, meaning that Burnley finished the season empty-handed, and their fortunes would soon start to go further downhill. In 1961, the maximum wage for English clubs was abolished, which made it extremely difficult for Burnley to compete with clubs from larger towns and cities. Burnley would remain in the First Division for the rest of the decade, but Harry Potts would end his 12-year spell in charge in 1970, being replaced by Jimmy Adamson. They were relegated in 1971, and although they returned to the First Division soon after, a series of relegations would follow, and they would not return to the top flight for 33 years. Burnley's golden age may have been brief, but it is still a fantastic tale. A club run by a man who adored them achieved his dream, winning the top flight title on a shoestring budget, and went on to fight valiantly in Europe. With football being dominated by rich clubs from large cities, Burnley's success is a flash in the pan, and the title win was summed up best by Harry Potts' wife Margaret, who said, "He had done something magical for this tiny place. He brought glory and distinction to our little town of cotton and coal."